Welcome everyone. I'm John Mead from Adventure16, and I want to welcome and thank you all for coming.
Angels are flying outside.
First things first, you should all know that you're being filmed, so behave yourselves. I can already tell that this is going to be a fun group tonight. First thing I want to do is make sure that we thank Cameron Ball and his team here at Helix Brewing Company for the venue. So thank you, Cameron, standing right over there. Nice loud clap. His mom is standing right there, so she's proud of him, and we all are. And we really appreciate Cameron and his team for allowing us to use this for Wild Wednesdays at Helix Brewing. It was actually Cameron's idea. Cameron supplied the beer for a lot of the A16 events back in the day. And so when we had to stop doing those, when the company closed down its stores, Cameron's idea was to come and do it here. So that's wonderful. And so if you're inclined, if you like beer, let's patronize him. Bar's right across the way. If you don't care for beer, we got water right here. So, okay, you don't have to get in the bathroom. You can get it right here, but you got to come through me to get it. So thank you for that. A couple of people I want to recognize and thank is Mike Moriarty. Mike is back here. He's our filmmaker. He's in the process of making a documentary about Adventure16. And when we started putting these presentations, the Wild Wednesdays, together, and he had the idea, hey, let's film them. So we're starting to develop quite a library on the Adventure16.com site with the films that Mike has made and with the presentations. So if you don't listen carefully to Lori tonight, then you can rerun it and look at YouTube just with a click or two from the Adventure16 site and see what you missed. And you can also see some of all the other presentations, or any of the ones that you're interested in that we've done. So Mike, thank you for what you do there. Mike, I consider Mike volunteering his time, and he wants to spread the inspiration and keep the spirit of A16 alive. So we really appreciate all you do for that, Mike. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, so I'll move on to the presentation tonight. This is really special for me, and I'll tell you why. We do a lot of Wild Wednesday presentations, and this one I've been waiting to do for 4 years now. Has it been 3? 3 years now. Well, it'll be 2014 in January. I'll tell you the story, okay, and then we can do the math later.
I know what
right.
you're saying.
Yeah, we're probably right. I was never good at math. I know we have a school teacher here that can confirm that. Back when we were doing presentations at A16, how many of you went to presentations at A16?
Woohoo!
Yep. So a lot of you. So we would do them on a regular basis, usually a couple a month at least, sometimes every week. But at one in probably 2018, or would have been
2016.
16, back to 2016, when Lori was
59.
Yeah, 59. Yep. Lori came to a presentation, and that's where I met her. And she was kind of a lost puppy in the store because she wasn't a hiker, and she'd never been to an Adventure16 before. She'll tell that story. I don't want to steal that one from you. But she had a great story. In fact, I'd been in the industry for 40 years and have been hiking for the better of 60 years. And she taught me a thing or two in that evening. And you're going to hear the story tonight, obviously, but about something I didn't ever think about why we hike. And I thought I was the expert on that, but she taught me a thing or two. And here's this person was just getting going with it. Anyway, Lori came at the presentation, and then about 6 months later, maybe a year later, she came to me and she said, I'm going to write a book. And I thought, that's great. And then we're going to sell the book at A16, and we're going to have presentation and maybe multiple presentations. And then January of 2020, when the book came out, I think it was right in that
February
time. February, right? That was when we in here held our going away party in February of 2020. That we were closing our stores, and that was going to be it. So it was bittersweet because I wasn't going to be able to be a part of this. And I'm extra proud because Lori asked me to write the foreword to this book. And I was hugely honored to do that. And then when I saw the book, that I saw that there was even a chapter about me. So, that really boosted my ego. So now we got to do a presentation. So anyway, we went through the COVID thing, and then Lori still wanted to do the, still selling the book and wanted to do the presentation. She was up for it, so we booked the time, and here we all are. So without going on and on, we are going to have a raffle. Who doesn't have a raffle ticket? Okay, we'll get you one. Make sure you get one. Well, a bunch of you. Okay. Okay. we might be able to arrange that. So without anything more, I think I've said enough, and I would like to introduce my friend, author, artist, and avid hiker, Lori Brookes.
Thanks.
Welcome.
I do want to thank John profusely. The story was when I started this hiking journey, and I'll talk about it more. But when I first started, I was immersing myself into everything. And so I'd driven by for years, on the 8, seeing that dome tent on top of that building. What's that? So finally, I went in one night because I heard from another hiker friend, that they did these happy half hours on Wednesdays, and there was always like some sort of speaker. So that was part of my immersion project, was to go to a 16. And so that store, I loved that store. It smelled like campfire. Who went into that store, right? It was like being at home. So I went in, and of course you got beer and popcorn. And so I went over to get some popcorn, and there was the head colonel, because that's what his name tag said. And I was like, I think this man, I think he's someone important here. So we started having a little chat, and I was saying, yeah, I started this journey, I'm on my 59th birthday, and I'm going to hike my way to 60. And he's like, oh, we need to talk later. So it's like, yeah. So it turns out he gives me his business card, and we all know who John D is. I was like, all right. So we met not too long after that in his office, and he wanted me to present. And the thing is, I hadn't completed my journey yet. And I thought, well, to be credible, I need to do that. So he says, and you need a book. He doesn't remember this part. He's the reason I wrote this book. I didn't want to write a book. I just wanted to do my journey. No, it was good. I'm a writer. I was already a writer and a photographer. And so I was blogging these things that I was called unintended consequences. And they were just things that were coming up for me, because I literally started with a pair of Keen hiking boots, and I don't even know why I owned them. But that's all I had. I was a photographer, not a hiker. So I showed it to John. He says, there's your book. And he was so right. By the end of I actually extended it all the way to my 62nd birthday. If you get my book, you'll see I cut it off on my 62nd birthday when I went to, this place I'll talk about, and decided I don't want to write something so long. I just want to get this down. It's very cathartic. Anyway, John is the reason I wrote the book. And it evolved. They were just called unintended consequences. But then as I was really reviewing everything that I had learned or experienced, they were all positive to me. Even if I twisted an ankle, I always would find what was the silver lining. What was the yeah. So that's that. I do have little cheat notes because I don't want to ramble. Okay. It's so good to see so many people that I know from San Diego that I haven't seen in forever. Thank you for coming, and thank you for everyone else who I don't know, and I went the wrong way. All right, so I wasn't a hiker. What was I thinking? So I had a career of a professional photography, writer, and a designer, marketing, and then I took on this hiking like it was a job. And interestingly enough, let me just see, I ended up sort of self-retiring. I became like hiking was my job, and we'll learn about that. So Let's see, what's my next slide? A little nervous. All right, I just want to talk about the cover so we get that out of the way. So I had the vision, and this cover is about the first chapter. And the first unintended consequence was I had lost 20 pounds in about 5 weeks of unwanted menopause weight. I know there's some women in my age group who might relate to that. I gave up, and I just bought bigger jeans. So that's the first chapter. So anyways, having a conversation a couple months ago with a young woman who had just hiked Patagonia, and I was sharing my story, and she goes, "Oh, I have your book. My mother-in-law bought it." She goes, "It's like you needing to go to the bathroom in the forest or something." So here's the thing in marketing, right? If these were on the shelf, right, somebody might walk by and go, "What's going on there?" and pick it up and hopefully buy it. So anyway, that was my vision for the cover. So just in case anyone wanted to know what that was about, that's what that was about. So, well, the other thing is I do have the pants here tonight. I forgot about this story. So I had bought, because as you would, right? If you're not like good at your sport, well, at least dress the part, right? So I got me some cute Columbia hiking pants, from REI, $65 they cost me, which was like ridiculous. And those pants were starting to be baggy. So I thought there was something wrong with the pants. And if you Google, you can always find the answer that you want to find. So I took them back to REI. So I bought another pair, size 7 or whatever. And then a few more weeks, they were baggy again. And this time, I thought about taking them back to REI. I said, these are defective. Why am I buying these? Well, what was happening is I was losing the weight. But that wasn't a goal of mine. And yet this was happening. So I finally realized, and you know how I realized is I had these really cute hip hugger jeans in my closet that I put way in the back because I thought someday I might wear those again. And I came home and I went, I wonder, because I don't own a scale, I wonder. And I put them on and I was like, oh my God, I lost weight. It's a true story. It feels really silly, but that's what happened. So that's what those jeans are all about, and the cover, because I thought it was funny. A lot of my book is self-deprecating, it's making fun of yourself, because, I've taken on a sport that I didn't really know anything about. And I have a chapter on naivete, because I think naivete, it's not being stupid, it's just having childlike wonder, where you're like, you want to go do that? Yeah. And that's what I did in Death Valley. So this is where it all began. So I was working for a climate education group here in San Diego, funded by National Science Foundation. And I was getting to photograph all over the county, civic things, flora and fauna. And you might remember in March, April, May of 2016, we had a super bloom in Death Valley. Anyone go? Well, I heard about it, and I'm a photographer, so I'm like, I'm going there. I had just bought a new, what I call my road trip car. I had just watched the National Geographic National Parks film. I think Robert Redford did it. And that was like a Tuesday, a Wednesday, and then boom, Thursday, I'm off to Death Valley, solo road camping trip to go photograph the super bloom. So I'm in Death Valley, and I've got my Keen hiking boots, and I've got my camera bag. That was like my backpack because I didn't have one of those. And I was sitting at the breakfast bar, which doesn't exist now in Death Valley, and I saw the a concessionaire employee sitting at the counter, and he had like this huge plate of, pancakes and bacon and biscuits and gravy. And so I decided to ask him, because he was familiar with the park. He turned out to be the CFO of that concessionaire company. And I asked him if he could recommend a hike. And he whips out his phone and he starts showing me pictures of Golden Canyon. How many people have been to Death Valley? Oh, wow. It's my most favorite national park so far, most visited. Anyway, so I go into Golden Canyon. Have you done that hike? Yes. So what do I know? I'm hiking. It's not a hard hike. It's pretty flat. You're going through washlands. But for some reason, now I know what it's called, a ravine, was calling me to hike up. It's not a trail. It's just, it was just this place that was saying, you should come up here. So I did. So I'm hiking and climbing. I'm actually climbing. It's shale and I'm huffing and puffing. And this is where I'm starting to realize I am not in good shape. So I finally get up to a group of boulders and I could not get myself over them. And I was really not happy with myself because I thought I was fit. So I just sat there feeling really defeated. But in that same moment, I was just in pure joy of my surroundings, nature, and was feeling so held. Sounds silly, but by Mother Nature. Like I was feeling so good, so high, that if I had keeled over, from a heart attack, because my heart was pounding, I was good. And that was a really, really profound moment. So I lived, obviously. Got out of Death Valley. I used to call it Death Valley. I tell this story to people. Came home, went on one more hike, and y'all probably know this one, Potato Chip Rock. And I went up I call it the ugly way, the fire road with a pavement. And I just was not in good shape. So at the same time, both of my parents were in really not good health. My dad with his heart, and my mom was in a chronic pain, head to toe, opioid addict. I didn't know that at the time. And I don't know, I woke up, this is like mid-March, my birthday was April, first week of April, and I woke up with this crazy idea to hike my way to 60. So I was gonna do 60 hikes to 60. Scared me, 5 hikes a month. Like, how am I gonna do that? I'm not a hiker. I work, I've got clients. And anyway, I got excited about it. I put it on social media and asked, my friend base. I was amazed at how many people were actually hikers in San Diego. And I got this huge list of go on this hike and go on that hike. And then I made an invitation, come with me or take me with you or, just come hike with me. And that began that journey. So I'm done with Death Valley for now. So my friend Sunny here had this, A Foot in a Field. Who has that book, The Hiking Bible? Yeah. So he had the older version, Jerry Shad. And so I decided I was going to hike Torrey Pines, all the trails. Because that's what you do when you're not a hiker. It's 9 miles worth of trails. So I did that day, and it was just glorious. I had someone on about 3 miles of it, and the rest was just by myself and exploring that whole beautiful jewel we have in San Diego. And I came home completely trashed, feet up on the couch, pulled out Jerry's book, and I'm looking for my next hike. I'm already addicted. I call it hiker's high. So that's how that began. That was my my first introduction into hiking. Hi, Janet. Okay. So one of my friends had reached out and said, let's go hike in Idlewild. Who's been to Idlewild? It's a magical place. So I said, okay. So I'm looking through All Trails. I think I had All Trails by then, the app. And I came up with South Ridge Trail to Tockwitz Peak. It is, in my opinion, the harder of the two, but I didn't know any better. It was hike number 11. And I had been wanting to get out of San Diego, move somewhere else, but I couldn't decide, is it desert? Is it mountains? Is it beach? I mean, where am I supposed to go? So on hike number 11, so we're heading up that trail. Who's done South Ridge to Tockwitz? So I walked between, well, first of all, that pine needle thing, you're walking on the pine needles and it's just wafting up. And I was like, oh my God, I love this smell. And then I had walked between these two pines and all of a sudden, it's going to sound corny, but it's almost as if, voices were saying, mountains, you're going to live in the mountains. And so I did, but that wouldn't happen for 2 more years. But I knew that I was going to move. So that chapter is about the mountains called, and I went, and I moved. Sorry, I have to keep checking my notes. Okay. So it's 4 months now into this journey, and I'm getting close to that number 60 because I became kind of hiking maniac. Anyway, I had some 2 girlfriends who were doing the John Mead Trail. I think someone said said, hey, do you want to do it with me? Oh, she didn't come back. So anyway, that one gal was my hiking mentor. She's run the Boston Marathon. She's like really fit woman. Anyway, she says, hey, what do you think about resupplying us over Kearsarge Pass and then summiting Whitney for your 60th hike 4 months into it? Maybe, So we got the permit. Magically, there was one available, and then there was another gal who was going to help because there were 2 of them. And I decided I needed to do an elevation or an altitude check, so I did Mount Baldy, and that was so tough, and I felt so discouraged. And there's a chapter in here called The First Mountain That Made Me Cry. Well, that's the second mountain that made me cry, because I was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to resupply these women, and I feel I can't do it. So anyway, I did make it to the top of Mount Baldy, and the other gal dropped out of the whole equation. So now I'm going to be resupplying 2 people, carrying, that extra weight up to Kearsarge Pass. Has anyone ever done Kearsarge Pass?
All of us.
Yep. So here's where John comes in again. So here I am, like I'm barely a hiker, but now I'm going to take on backpacking and go into the Sierra with 35 pounds on my back alone. I was scared. I know. What if, So anyway, I strong-armed my good dear friend Sunny here. It's like, oh, it'll be fun. I have an extra permit. Come with me. And so we did. And what turned out, I did not summit Mount Whitney that day or those 3 days. Those girls were going so fast, they just blew by the resupply. So I didn't have to do that, but I still had this permit. And so we went out, and that was my first experience with a backpack. And John D, he outfitted me. As you know, he had a program for underprivileged. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Still do, yes.
Yeah, okay. So he let me, use a backpack, and so that happened. And I have to say that was such a magical. Kearsarge Pass, so far my favorite, because you pass by like 5 different lakes, and it's amazing. Even if you just get to the pass and you don't go down into, which we did, go down into Kearsarge Lakes, it was at that point the most beautiful place I'd ever been. Then that changed.
Well,
So
she needed some Kleenexes along the way.
that was a hard hike, but also the beauty just busts you open, I did do Mount Whitney, but not until 2019. And yeah. All right, so the 60th hike. So now we're at 4.5 months into my journey, and I decide to go back to Tuckwitz and do Southridge Trail. And I had 6 of my San Diego family, Sonny, my friend Karen, my son, a couple other friends joined me on that hike. And I don't know, that was just such a great day, such an accomplishment, right? Okay, I did my 60 hikes. So I don't know, do you hike and think, to yourself as you're hiking, you get ideas and crazy thoughts? So I did. So on the way down, I was like, well, I did my 60 hikes, now what? I'm not 60. Well, I could double it. But that seemed too easy, right? Because I already know I could do 60 in 4.5 months, so let's do the math. So I decided on the way down that 4.5 miles to triple my goal. So I was going to do 180 hikes. And then I love metaphors and symbolisms. It's like 180, ooh, like 180-degree turnaround in your life, right? I don't know what I was talking about, but I just said it, right? So be careful what you say to the universe. So it wasn't until I got down and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to commit to that. So then I put that out, right, to the friend base again. Okay, this is what I'm going to do now. 180 hikes. So that meant I needed to hike about 4 to 5 days a week for the next 7.5 months. And I did. I hiked everywhere. People will ask, it's always, did you do the PCT? Did you do this? No, I just hiking, Someone would say, hey, you want to come to New Zealand and do, yeah, I'll go there. So I did. So I hiked across 6 states, 3 countries, including the U.S., 11 national parks, 4 national monuments. My youngest son said, hey, Mom, come. He lives in San Antonio, Texas. He says, Mom, hey, you want to camp out for 4 days at Big Bend National Park? I was like, wow, Texas has a national park? I didn't even know. And so I drove, and we met, and that was an amazing, Unintended. He's one of my chapters called Big Bend National Park and My Baby Boy. But I kept saying, for my my birthday. Okay, forget the numbers, but my birthday, I want to go somewhere epic and do a hike, or do my birthday. So the year before, a friend of mine had sent me information on the Rainbow Mountains in Cusco, Peru. As a photographer, she's like, you need to go here and take pictures. And I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool. And I put it over here. Well, now I have time to actually plan something like that. So that just magically happened. Jose Montes, the owner of Killa Expeditions, he has spoken here before. He has a company that will take you. You can go to Machu Picchu, or you could do a lot of treks, but he had one for the Rainbow Mountains. So I met with Jose. He lived only one neighborhood over from me, which I also thought was, me with my synchronicity. It's meant to be. So I met with Jose, and we planned the trip to summit the Rainbow Mountains on my birthday. Now, here's where the Sierra gets kicked to second place. I cried a lot. It was magical beauty. Has anyone been to South America hiking? Have you been to more Patagonia, or have you been to Cusco? Oh, Machu Picchu. Okay, so no offense to Machu Picchu, and I did get to go there. I didn't want to be on a trail with 500 other people. I wanted something different, and I wanted to see those mountains. So it was a 4-day trek, 43 miles, so 10 miles a day, but at elevation. And when I say elevation, we had 2 passes at 17,000 feet. So when I did Whitney, I was like, right, you have to do it, right? You have to do Whitney. Anyway, so my son and son-in-law came with me, so it was the 3 of us, and it was beyond my imagination. Ausangate, which is the highest peak in Cusco at 21,000 something feet, was this beautiful, mountain that was always with you as you hiked to the Rainbow Mountains. So there was always something really glorious along the way. So the morning of my birthday, I'm sorry, the night of, it started snowing. And, I had to do the, might not see this mountain because there could be snow on it now. And let it go. It doesn't matter. It will be what it will be, right? This is a real lesson in it's the journey, not the destination. So morning of, so you're out, has anyone done that where you're trekking out in the middle of nowhere and they bring the food and they're cooking for you and you're like nowhere near anything? And they whipped me up a birthday cake with fresh strawberries and a match. So imagine, I'm getting goosebumps. We're in our dining tent in these flimsy little chairs, worse than these, and it's freezing. And we had a horseman, our guide, the chef, and the assistant chef. I will cook. They don't call them chefs. So there were 4 Peruvian men singing happy birthday to me in their broken English, and I was bawling. Happy birthday. Yeah, it was so just a crying moment for sure. So had my birthday cake at 4:30 in the morning because they guaranteed me to get to the pass before anyone else would be on the mountain, because now the Rainbow Mountains are starting, it's a day trip for some people, and so there's just a mass of people, once something gets out, yeah. Right. And they want the money, and you can't fault them, but it's being trashed. So anyway, they promised we'd get there first, and sure enough, because we got up at 4:30, we got there. And there was ice and snow on the track, but it was still beautiful. So I have a video, which is on YouTube, of me getting up that last pass, and my legs, I'm like crumbling. I'm done. But we get to the top, and our guide, Ephraim, he was a big guy, 6'5", just a big guy, and he was carrying my 10-pound camera because I, became a wimp on that hike. And we got to the top, and sure enough, the clouds were shrouding the Rainbow Mountains. And I am not making this up. It's like right out of a movie, because all of a sudden I gather myself, and the clouds start parting. And he goes, "This is our karma, familia." And and we're all just bawling. And it did. The clouds moved away, and there they were. And there was a little bit of frost on one side, but it was glorious. And there you go. Happy birthday to me. So that was the Rainbow Mountains, the 180th hike. I had to really hold back, interestingly, before I got there. It's like, oh, nope, I can't hike today because I need to, my hikes need to be 176 or 77, 78, 79, 180. Yeah, a little anal. So that's the Rainbow Mountains. I highly, highly recommend. And I think they offer a longer 2-day trip so that you're not hiking out with all the day trippers. Not the end of my story. I don't have that much time for this. I could talk your ear off for all the things that happen in the in-between, right? The 60th hike and the 180th hike. So many things. Health, a lot of health things. My parents were what I call my reverse inspiration for taking this journey, because I was seeing what was going on with them, and not that I was in any way going in their direction, but I definitely was looking at setting myself up for the last third, It was pretty poignant, like the 60th birthday. It's like, it's the last third. Oh, shit. So anyway, I did 180 hikes, 1,300 plus miles on 2 pairs of Keen boots. They say you get 500 or 600 on a pair of boots. I already talked about that. And I really was very filled up, spiritually, physically, mentally. So the first unintended consequence was, losing the weight. I'm about to wrap it up. So my parents were in really bad shape. I already said that. And it was amazing to me that in that 1 year, nothing ever happened to them. They were stabilized, if you will. Nothing got in my way. Like, it was divine intervention that I was supposed to take this year-long journey to my own health. And I say that, and I know this for a fact, because 5 months later, my dad died. I was selling my house because I'm gonna go find my mountain home. I packed all my stuff up. I had a 5x5 storage. I sold almost everything with my house in San Diego. I'm out of here. I'm out of the city. And I'm going to drive the western U.S. and look for my new mountain home. My father dies of a stroke, brain hemorrhage. I actually witnessed it. I ended up with some PTSD around that. Code blue, and it was not a cute moment at all. So here I was. My dad died, and I'm homeless. Literally. And my friend Karen takes me in because I didn't have a home. I had nowhere to grieve. And now I had to oversee my mother, who my dad had been taking care of and kind of masking what was going on with her. So I floated around for a while, and I ended up in Idlewild because that would have me be closer to her to oversee. She was in an assisted living facility. She died 1 year and 11 days after my father. And it was just like too much. And that's where hiking came in as a healing method, to hike to heal. And there is a chapter in there about hiking and grieving. So that was in 2018. So in 2019, I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to just sit in this cabin and I'm going to write this book that John tells me I need. And that was healing too. It was a very cathartic process. I'd been documenting all these, unintended consequences. And thank you, Lori, for this prompt. So back to the 180-degree turnaround. So I had lost all this weight. That's one. I traded my high heels into my hiking boots. I mean, I'm in them tonight on purpose because I never get to wear them, especially when you live in the mountains. There's no sidewalks. I went from having my own business to being retired. Cashed out of my house, that helped. I moved from the city to the mountains. I became an orphan. That sounds really weird, but at 60 whatever, I felt like, wow, I don't have my parents anymore. It's just the strangest thing. I'm sure some of you have that experience. I ended a relationship right after I completed my journey, got real clear about some things. And I went from being a writer to a published author. I didn't really see that coming. I blew him off when he said, you need to write a book. Like, who wants to do that? So anyway, I lived in Idlewild for 2 years, and then I wrote my book there, and I published my book February 22nd, 2020. And I was going to be in the shelves of REI. I'd already made that deal. I was going to do a presentation with John, and then COVID. And we all know about that, right? COVID just kind of stopped the world. That's kind of it. I mean, there's so much more, but I do want to open it up. Like, if anybody has any questions or anything you want to ask that, like.
What's your favorite hikes in Iowa? Because I was just there this summer. I used to go up there. My good friend, they had a home up there. They sold it. They moved to Tennessee. But when she comes here, we go up there.
So my absolute favorite was Southridge to Tockwoods Peak. And I ended up being a fire lookout volunteer.
Yeah.
And in order to work that tower, you have to hike that trail. So the squirrel cart. Yeah. And that's a 4.5 mile hike to get to the tower, either way you go. So I love that one. And then my second one would be, going on Deer Springs Trail up to Suicide Rock. That's lovely too. Have you done that one?
That one, no.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Anyone else? I was going to plant some question.
What's next?
So that's a really great question because after I went to Peru and you're all just so high and you had this amazing experience and you completed a goal, and when I came back, I was like, wow, yeah, what's next? So now this has been, I'm 66 now, so this has been 6 years since I completed that goal, but I continued, right, the hiking. When COVID hit, I'd run out to Death Valley any chance I'd get till they closed that place down, just to get out of the crazy, and just be out there. And so what I had, though, on my radar, I don't know if I want to tell you. I did rim to rim. Oh, okay. Yeah. I want to hike to El Cor in the Italian Dolomites. It's actually a climb. So I would need some technical assistance, but it's a heart-shaped cutout. I have this thing with organic heart shapes in nature, so that it's huge. Like you look this big inside this huge cutout in the Dolomites. So that's been in the thought for a while, but I had so much other stuff going on, and COVID, coming back to COVID. So And then I sort of became like a hermit. And I'm not like a hermit person, but it really took the wind out of travel sales. So on my radar for next year is to go with a mountaineer friend of mine who's actually hiking, doing a month-long trek in Nepal. And he's going to get me up there.
Benny.
Hmm?
Benny?
Benny, yeah. Anyone else?
Of all the hikes you've done, how many do you do solo, and how do you
43 solo.
out of the 180?
Out of the 180, I did 43 solo. A lot of them, I would sign up to go with groups, but I felt like I was actually hiking solo because I'm not a big chatter on the trail. I like to just hike and not hear anything except nature. So, but 43 for sure.
Being new to hiking, were you nervous about being solo?
I was not. So I get that. There is a chapter about solo hiking. Especially as a female, we get asked that a lot, where I don't think men necessarily do, like, "Ooh, you're hiking solo." So I know I rely heavily on my intuition when I'm out on trail. And there were 2 times in the 180 hikes, because I'll just cut it off there in terms of talking about this, where I got on and I got right off. Like I felt something wasn't right. And then only to discover over by Balboa Park, there's trails across from the park that's homeless encampment. I didn't know that. So it was more a human thing. Yeah. But only 2. People ask about the animal things, like, let's see, I've been hiking now, and I know y'all might have been hiking a lot more than me, or longer, but I've hiked a lot. And I have barely seen a deer, let alone a mountain lion or a bear. I've seen bear poop in tracks. But yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
43.
ever see any deer because there's so many mountain lion now?
Good one.
I have another question. I know you just got back from Moab just 2 days ago. Tell us about that. How was that experience?
Moab. Who's been to Moab? Yeah.
Where is that?
Utah.
Oh, okay.
Moab. So Moab, Canyonlands, and Arches National Park are the 2 national parks there. I went with I also now am a Jeeper, a wheeler, I guess they call it. I have a Jeep. More on the smaller side of Jeeps. Like the Jeep people don't acknowledge me because I'm in a Renegade, but I will do things. Again, I have the naivete thing. It's like, I can do that. We can do that. So Arches, I found a back way in, if you want to know. If you have a clearance vehicle, 4-wheel drive, you can actually drive in the back way, take a side venture to go see Whale's Eye Arch, not really on the map, and then make your way into the park, and you don't have to get a reservation. Now you have to have reservations to go to Arches. They're like time tickets. Unless you go after 4, then you can just go.
Or January.
Oh, so non-summer hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. So I jeeped it, I hiked it, I horseback rode it. I had a friend that just happened to be there, and he's a nomad, and he travels with his horses from Iowa. He leaves Iowa and he comes to the Southwest. And so he just happened to be there, and so I got to ride one of his horses. That was delicious. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody wants to ask me what my longest hike or my shortest hike was. The reason I say that is that used to be when people would find out what I was doing, they'd go, "Well, how long are your hikes?" I go, "As long as I want them to be. It's my journey, right? What does it matter how long or how short?" Anyway, so my longest hike was 20 miles with my friend who was an ultra marathon runner. That's in there. Don't ever go hiking with those people. And if you're an ultra marathon runner, she's like, I could walk forever. And I was dead after 13 miles, and I ran out of water. I learned a lot. I learned a lot on this. You learn how much food you need. You learn what your body needs, right? How much water do you need? But it was all a learning process along the way. So 20 miles. I since then actually limped a 30-mile ultramarathon with her because I'm crazy. I think I'm crazier. Shelley. Yeah, but during the 180 hikes, so 20 miles was my longest, and the half mile was my shortest. And the half mile was I took my parents on a walk in their facility, went door to door writing positive notes on their neighbors' doors. And my mom was such a curmudgeon at that time. She hated the whole time. And my dad, he would go, well, we don't really like them. I go, well, today you're going to write them a note. Today we're going to do that. Yeah. So anyway, I called it the half mile and positive notes, and that's also a chapter.
Lori, what questions haven't we asked that maybe thought we might, other than the... We're going to plan some questions.
I didn't. I know I ran out of time. I was going to actually plant questions.
We asked them all.
Haven't said anything about sort of close calls. 180 hikes. There's gotta be some rattlesnakes in there. There's gotta be a couple today.
Oh, I forgot about no snakes. I mean, not close calls with snakes. I had one encounter on South Ridge where I was. This is after the 180, where I was pushing myself to go do a solo backpacking overnight. Because there's some like fear in there. And I was like, I need to get rid of that fear. What is that fear? Well, that would have been one, like snake. I had to hop over it with my 30-pound pack. But so, okay, I forgot about this. When I was,
How do you get lost a couple sometimes?
oh, okay. So the first mountain that made me cry, that's a chapter. I hiked El Cajon Mountain, and it was early on. I'm telling you, I was aggressive, and I hiked it solo.
Yeah, we call it El Crown.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's correct.
and I made it. That was good. And then it's before they had the stakes in the ground. You know, have you been up there where it's like, yeah, there's like green markers so you don't get lost. Because I got up to the top and I'm like, woohoo. And this is before I had navigation, you know, this is part of my learning. I never go anywhere without a way to nav. I took nav classes and all that. So there I am at the top of the mountain. I'm by myself. And I start hiking down aimlessly, obviously, because I found myself lost at the top of El Cap. I stopped. I'm scared. I mean, I'm not that lost, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm a newbie, I'm lost. And anyway, there was some guy up at the top, and I go, I'm lost. And God bless them, he came down, he was a nurse, and he came down and he goes, oh, it's happened to me before. He was really sweet. And he got me, you know, back on trail. And I said, it's okay, I'm good now, you can go. And he left and I cried. It was it was just one of those things you do so you don't do it again. Yeah. Back to the rolled ankle. So I'm doing that training hike for altitude, preparing to maybe hike Mount Whitney. And coming down Baldy, we came down the, what do they call it? The what? No, you have to.
Under the chairlift?
No, well, that's how we came up But then you come down through a valley, and there's a building there.
The Sierra.
The Sierra Hut. Yeah. And I rolled an ankle. I am 4 miles from my car. And my 2 friends I'm hiking with, they're like little tiny women, and they're thinking they're going to carry me out of there. I'm like, no, I got it. You know, I had my hiking pole, so that got me down. But I was already set to go do the 4 days in the Sierra with Sunny. And I have a rolled ankle that I've got to heal. So I had a really good therapist who magically, like I said, nothing got in my way. And I was fine within a couple weeks and back out on trail. But yeah, I heard it go, you know, did a little snap. It also happened with the Wilderness Basic course that I took, and we were out in Anza Borrego. And there was, on the side of the cliff, or the road, whatever, the trail, there was a bunch of leaves, you know. You think it's solid ground, and it wasn't. And I went through it, and you know, I think it was the other ankle. But nothing, nothing that stopped me. Because I'm stubborn. Oh my God. Somebody else was going to ask me something?
So you've done these really extraordinary hikes. Do you still enjoy like normal hikes? Like do you enjoy going back to Torrey Pines?
Yes. Oh my God. I love Torrey Pines, and my favorite part is going out to Broken Hill South, where it looks like the hoodoos, you know, like going into Bryce Canyon. Love that hike. Yeah, actually, I don't know what I'm still figuring out what I'm going to do with all of this knowledge that I've gained, and there's a lot of stuff in my book about healing cancer and hiking in creativity, hiking in grief. And I've been hiking with a woman up in Big Bear. She's in her 50s and had a stroke. And so I've been hiking with her, and we're not going far, but I know it can help her. And now I just had another friend who just had a stroke for a different reason, and we're already talking about getting him on trail. So I'll go short, I'll go long, I don't care. Yeah.
Have you done Cactus to Clouds?
I have not. And I'll tell you, Cactus to Clouds. So part of me too is like, I don't think I need to do something that hard anymore. I don't know. I don't have anything to prove. I wasn't even going to do Whitney, to be honest. I was like, it was at 17,000 feet in the most beautiful place on the... But I did. I met a guy over on South Ridge Trail, and he had a permit, and he needed 2 other people. And so my friend Janet, we were hiking that day together. Yeah. I said, well, I'm interested. So that's why I did Whitney.
It just reminds me of, like you said, don't put it in your head, or like once it got into your head, you want to do it. And like Cactus to Clouds has been in my head a little bit more. And I'm like, I wanted to go out of it.
Yeah, I see people do it. I'm on Instagram. I see all of it. I'm in a bunch of hiking clubs, and I don't know. Who's done Cactus to Clouds here?
I want to get it out of my head.
Yeah? Did you love it?
No.
How many miles is it?
Well, it's just a BS hike. It's
Still
like
a lot of elevation gain?
Yeah. And I've done harder, more elevation gain in Anza Borrego, which I think is harder than Cactus to Clouds.
okay. It's a
Like anything in the Santa Rosa, there's no trail. So in terms of San Diego hiking, there's hard stuff. Cactus to Clouds, when I did it, it was in November. It was fine until I got to heavy snow, you know.
So it goes from the desert floor all the way up to San Jacinto.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cameron, who owns the brewery, Cactus to Clouds to Cactus
Wow.
in one day.
Yeah, there's a maniac.
Oh.
Oh,
If anybody wants to talk to him, he's
yeah.
very well versed.
So last year I did rim rim to rim. But we didn't go. We went down the Kebab Trail. You're supposed to go that way and then up the Bright Angel. Well, we didn't. No, it was dumb. It was hot, triple digits, hardly any shade on that side. But I am talking about me, because what we encountered were these kids in their 20s, and they were doing rim to rim north, back to rim in one day, and they beat us. And he didn't look like he was even breaking a sweat. I'm dying. I'm like, oh my God. I don't do well in the heat thing. Yeah.
I think that's the eighth. I don't do well with heated things.
I never did. No. I think we're done. Anyone else want to ask questions? Or thank you so much for coming and listening to my story.
Cameron, are you still over there? Your mom just volunteered you to do a cactus or to clouds, back to cactus slideshow. So we'll get you going in about 3 weeks if that's all right. Yeah, okay, good.
Cameron's mom.
Thanks for the suggestion, Debbie. We'll hold him to it. Right? Okay, there's another unintended consequence tonight. For those of you who come to Wild Wednesdays, you know that we've always kind of done raffles, and we kind of stopped doing them about 6 months, a year ago or so. So tonight we're going to surprise you and have a raffle, and it's really a special raffle. It's just a special night all around, because we're going to raffle off some prizes that. And I'm not going to tell you what they are. Well,
do I have a ticket?
We got a few prizes, but we're going to start out. Does everyone have a ticket? No.
I don't have a ticket.
You can have a ticket.
Mike.
Ticket. Give Karen a ticket. I've never had to pass the tickets out before, so I haven't done a very good job. I have them scattered everywhere. Anybody else?
Still here.
Huh?
Do you want to take turn it off or take
Anybody
it
else?
off?
Yep. Okay.
We'll just leave it on.
There we are. All right. Okay, now I have to remember how to do this and give you guys a chance. All right? Okay. Unintended consequence number one. In the 60 years that we had A16, when we talk about people talk about their memories of A16, can anyone guess what the number one thing I hear about people that miss A16 is?
The smell.
Wow! Did you see this? Oh my Lord! Okay, yes, that's what I hear. Oh, we miss the smell, and I think, well, the smell and the sounds of crickets and that kind of thing. In 1985, we opened a store at Horton Plaza, and we were just looking for ways to just make it a memorable experience. And the manager of the store said, "Let's burn some incense." So we started burning incense in the stores and did it all the way to the end. Some people didn't like it because of the smoke, but we sold a ton of it, and that's the number one thing. Al, you'll even remember 1985. Al was our CFO for many years. So
Cabin on the email?
yes, it comes with a cabin. Yes, not this one doesn't come with a cabin, but we do have the cabin. But I think they're sold out at the moment, so we're getting more. Anyway, the first person. See, I told you I'm not really prepared for this raffle. I got to pull these together or apart, and we need a vessel. So we'll use my hat. And Lori, we're gonna task you with grabbing a number. So the first person to get the A16 smell is the number you call.
The last three numbers?
Your last three numbers, yeah. Ready?
792.
792. Who gets the smell? Nobody wants the smell. Okay. You got it? There you go. Campfire memories. All right. Right. Yes. Don't eat them. Right. Okay. All right. There'll be some other unintended consequences if you did. All right.
Maybe that one that flew out.
Yeah. You want to do that one?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. But wait. But don't do it yet. We got to tell you what we've got here. Okay. We have. What's that? Oh. We have a Helix Brewing T-shirt with some really awesome graphics, and it does come in a regular. If a guy gets this, you can. You don't have to. Well, you could use it, but they have ones with sleeves and everything on them too. Okay. All right. So all you have to do is take it up to the bar, and they will exchange it for your size. And if you don't want the tank top or whatever it's called, you could get that. Go ahead.
785.
785. Debbie, all right, here we go. Congratulations. Was that rigged? You already have a few because you're the mother of the owner of the company? Okay, all right. What are we going to do? Okay. Okay, we'll call another number. We'll get you something else. Okay.
It's back in.
All right. Oh, what are we supposed to do? Oh, here. Thank you. These are so hard. I never realized that. So hard to. I might.
796.
796. That's Bob's. Okay, we're gonna shake him up again. Bob, congratulations. Could you hand that to Bob? Okay, all right. Put it back in. Unbelievable. Just throw it back in. Yeah. Did you guys stuff the ballot box here?
793.
793. Okay. You can get your size and style over there. Okay. What's good? There's two 793s.
Oh, wait. 773 or 793?
Se-
7993. Okay, I thought it was 773. I didn't check the ticker.
So, that's why we might need an auditor here, Al. Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Now,
Wait, hang on. I got it. Okay, hang on. What do I have here? Okay. This is a shirt. One of the things we're doing with A16, if you go to A16.com, you don't see any gear. We're not doing gear. We're trying to keep the spirit alive, the embers burning, so to speak, by just inspiring people and going, looking back at those years and celebrating, the life of the company and keep the spirit alive and keep people inspired to go out. It's the reason when you do the Wild Wednesday nights. This shirt happens to have, and it comes in multiple sizes, this shirt happens to have the picture of the first A16 El Cajon store on it. So it's pretty special. There's only a few of them are made, and we have all sizes for you. And Lori's going to tell us the number.
782.
Front Street in El Cajon. And you hold on to that and tell me your size later, okay? All right, so this is an autographed copy, a signed copy of the story that we heard tonight. So what's the
798.
798? All right, congratulations. And Lori has already signed it for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I got to check you.
Right?
Okay. All right. Okay. And the last prize is this hat. Does anybody here recognize this hat? What is it? This is a bomber hat. Nobody else recognizes this hat? It's a young crowd, I think. This hat, actually, I designed back in 1981, and we made them for many years, and it actually ended up being. Many people don't know that A16, before we were a retail store, we were a manufacturer, starting in 1962, and we didn't close up shop. I didn't want to go to overseas to make products, so we closed up shop and didn't have any problem getting great gear. But one of the things that we lost when we closed up shop was this hat, and it was again the most successful hat or product that A16 ever had, and that's because it's so warm and it also is kind of funky. So it just became a fun product, and I'm happy to announce that we just had more of these hats made, just kind of a retro thing to have fun, and it's an amazingly great, versatile, warm hat for winter use, and you can really look cool too, right? So it's the A16 bomber hat, all right, and the lucky winner is
773.
773. Oh, there we go. Okay, and I have 3 sizes, so hold on to that one, and if it doesn't fit, and it probably won't, then we will get you the right size. And with that, thank you all for coming. We do have another Well on Wednesday next week on Wednesday night. We're going to be talking about Anza Borrego 101, and same drill, 6:30 meet and drink, and 7 o'clock presentation by Sam Young, who is with Anza Borrego Foundation, is going to tell you all about great adventures you can do because the desert season's coming up. Then we're going to have another author come to us on, not a Wednesday, unfortunately, but a Monday on December 4th, talking about the Colorado River, talking about his book. I won't go into details, called The Living River. It's going to be fascinating, so that's December 4th. So 2 more coming up. You can check the A16 website for more details.
Okay.
Yep.
My friend sent me this. Oh, Leonard, that's Spanish teacher.
Yes.
Kirkway, how do I follow your Wednesdays and what's your website?
So website's adventure16.com.
Okay.
And at the bottom, you can subscribe to our emails, okay?
Okay.
Thank you all for coming. Happy hiking.
Do you have a small?
Thank you. Yes.
All right, perfect.
All right. Yeah.
Still wears, uses and wears a bomber hat.
Is that right?
Oh yeah.